Hey, what's up everybody? Brownstorm22 here, bring you part next of my IDW Transformers Readathon. This episode we're going to be covering Transformers Escalation, the proper sequel to Transformers Infiltration, as opposed to the New Avengers Transformers crossover. Anyway, so let's get right into this. We're also going to be covering Spotlight Ramjet, which happens at the same time as Escalation. So, it's written by Simon Furman, art by E.J. Sue, the Power Team. I love them. I wouldn't say love them, but I really like E.J. Sue and Simon Furman's work. So we have the Autobots. Megatron gets his house in order while the Autobots decide that we're going to have to send the humans back home. So Sunstreaker and Ironhide go on out, and then the Machination makes them move, and they blow up Sunstreaker, who has Hunter inside him. So they go missing. Ironhide then reports back to Optimus. He has Jimmy and Verity in tow, and they're like, they got him. The Decepticons begin to activate their facsimile agents, which are humans, well, like clones of humans, that are made to serve the Decepticon cause. And they've activated them across the world, but we'll get to that later. The Machination kidnap Hunter and Sunstreaker, and they're experimenting on Hunter. And we see the leader of the Machination, Dante, talking to this severed head from the shadows that we don't know who he's talking to. But yeah, we'll get to that in another episode. But over in Russia, which they call the Soviet Union in this book, even though it takes place in like 2006, maybe it's an alternate world where the Soviet Union still exists, I don't know. There's a state called Brasnia trying to break away, and there's a dude who's leading the rebellion, and he's actually a facsimile. And so Megatron gets his gun mode, which he had in New Avengers Transformers, so it's like sort of out of continuity. But that's more of New Avengers Transformers' fault. I'm not going to blame Escalation for this. But Optimus Prime calls in reinforcements in the form of Nightbeat, Hot Rod, and Hardhead. And then a huge battle breaks out in Russia, where the Autobots and Decepticons fight along with the Russians versus the Brasnians. Optimus Prime and Megatron actually fight together, and Megatron says, like, I'm no longer the calm, cool, collected Megatron, you know, I'm now this angry beast. And then, like, he shoots lasers out of his mouth, because he's powered up on Ore-13. And then, he, like, pretty much almost kills Optimus, but Optimus downloads his memory into his trailer, so he can live, and then go back to his body, instead of dying there. And while his consciousness is floating in infraspace, mysterious head that looks like his a bit, but a bit different, shows up, and it just says Prime. And then he wakes up in his trailer. Oh, we'll get to that later on. And then Prime comes back into the battle, eventually defeating Megatron, and then it's all good. There's another side story that I didn't really like, because it's mostly humans, but Verity and Jimmy go after the Machination, and they get their first clue by the car with an M, but then they get trapped in gas, and then Ironhide has to save them. Then Ironhide gets blown up. I usually like the humans in IDW, but in Escalation, they were just annoying, and they got Ironhide blown up. But yeah. Oh, there was a scene where they were going to try to get Sunstreaker's body. All the Autobots were trying to get Sunstreaker's body back, and the Machination was getting it. It was fake. It was made to set up to make it look like the Sunstreaker had really died. But Optimus straight out kills a man. Like, he's driving in his car, then Optimus Prime's just transform on from him, and he crashes into his leg and dies. Oh. But that shows he means business. He doesn't mind killing humans, which I wish the writers that are currently doing Transformers would keep in mind, because they have, like in the modern day Transformers, they have them storming human beaches, but Prime's like, remember not to hurt the humans. You killed a man in 2006, Prime. But let me check to see if there's any other side things. Covered the crash, covered Ironhide, covered Optimus Prime killing a man. Megatron turns into his gun now, and he's using mass displacement for that. Anything else? The battle goes on for a long while, and so does the scene where they're getting that eventually ends up with Ironhide being blown up. Hot Rod and Hardhead and Nightbeat are finally back into the fray. Skywatch. Skywatch is the U.S. government's organization, and they take over the excavation dig where Shockwave and the Dinobots are held. Meanwhile, they also have Laserbeak and Ravage from Spotlight Soundwave, so now they have two of the cassettes. As we saw in Spotlight Soundwave, Soundwave himself is trapped in his tape deck mode, waiting to be sold somewhere. The facsimile eventually dies, so the Autobots have no way to discover any more facsimiles. And then it ends with Megatron saying, "So Prime has called for reinforcements. I shall do the same. Astro Train, get me Six-Shot." And then Six-Shot goes to Earth, and we see Mamumu Obscura. And then there's the Reapers saying, "We will go to Earth, and we will raise that planet to the ground." So yeah, there's that. Next we have Spotlight Ramjet, which I liked Escalation, by the way, except for the human part. But it was a good sequel to Infiltration. But on to Spotlight Ramjet. That's written by the same dudes who did the New Avengers crossover, but Ramjet isn't that bad. So Ramjet has left from the New Avengers crossover, and he's plotting a way to destroy Megatron himself. And while he's making this huge plot, they show scenes of Escalation to put in a time frame, what's going on. And Ramjet has all these mini Constructicons, and he has this huge plan to take over the Earth and stuff. And then he has everything meticulously planned out. And then it just ends with him getting ready. Then Megatron just comes in after what happened in Escalation, rips him apart, and rips his spark out of his chest, then spreads his body pieces across the planet without saying a single word. He just kind of shows up and rips him apart at the very end, completely uncalled for. And I thought it was pretty cool. There's one mini Constructicon left. There were 3, but one survived, and he talks all, "Yo, dog," stuff like that, because he's been exposed to human communications, whatever that means. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, so that covers the readathon for today. I hope you liked listening to my ramblings. Next episode, I'm not sure. We'll probably go over the spotlights that take place in between Escalation and Devastation. So yeah, subscribe to this channel if you want to. Go subscribe to Laser Koalas. Follow me on Tumblr and Twitter. And have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen.